Hi, all Agent here, and we are going to do a railing video. Surprise, rails, because I never do that, right? Backslash sarcasm. Alright, this match wasn't super long, which is why it makes for a good video. I try to keep them around 10 minutes or less. Beginning of the match, I noticed the enemy team has a 4-man platoon, so I kind of give my teammates a heads up that we are going to need to play as a team, and I am going to follow that creed and help support them as best I can. I've been doing sprinter rails with the sprinter legs, but now I'm going to use a mech leg rail. It's around the same CPU, but it's got a little more health in the electro shields that are on the mech legs. Definitely not as fast though, so I have to use blink a little bit more to get around and play slightly more conservatively. So we got 3 of them up there. I thought they were drones or something, but they're not. They're all copters. 2 of them appear to be lock-on missile launcher copters, which makes things easy because I can shoot those off pretty reliably in most cases, and I can tank a few with this mech leg build. So I'm going to spend a lot of time shooting those launchers off, and this poor guy in his build, he needs a new build. He's spinning out over there. So I'm going to spend a lot of time focusing and suppressing these aircraft. I'm probably not going to kill them in most cases, and that's fine. What I do need to do though is knock them out of the sky and or render them ineffective by shooting their weapons off so that they have to go back and heal. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend a lot of time shooting these missile launchers off of these bots because every time I do that, they're going to have to go auto heal until they have their launcher back, because that's going to be their main weapon. Some of them sometimes will have secondary weapons, and it appears that 1 or 2 of those guys did, but I'm also going to try to suppress the enemy rail. But my main focus is going to be these aircraft, because air can always be a dominant force when your ground bots that have anti-air capabilities are not paying attention and shooting at those aircraft. I find that a lot of problems I have when I can't focus on aircraft and bots such as that can fly but don't always fly and instead take a elevated position is that the enemy ground bots, my team can't handle them either, so they're all over me, and it just exacerbates the problem of air because I have to fight the ground bots too. Now luckily in this case I'm not fighting many of the ground bots, and here shortly I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move up here. That way the bots that are limited to the ground can't bother me that much, and I can keep a good eye on the sky. I don't want to be getting harassed by this chain shredder mech, for instance. I don't want him in my face a lot. I want to be up here where he's going to be much less of a problem for me. I don't necessarily advocate letting this guy below me do his thing with the tower, but right now I need to keep suppressing these aircraft, and I'm not going to go jump down face to face with a bot that has a shotgun. Luckily he went over here for whatever reason, and I'm going to shoot his PSK off and let my ally finish him off. He's got PSK and should be able to handle him just fine. I'm going to turn my attention back to the aircraft and work on suppressing them. Now and then I am going to shoot at ground targets such as this guy who give me problems, just to deal a little damage to him, make him think twice about messing with me. Now he's on the tower, definitely not going to go down and get in his face with his lasers and try to fight him face to face. I will in some cases with rails when I have a sprinter leg build, but the mech leg builds not so much. I will usually tried to keep my distance because they don't move very fast and you're not going to be escaping anything very efficiently with these builds. This guy's trying some kind of swaying back and forth thing that obviously doesn't work against rails. It might slightly work against lasers, but rails, you're still a very predictable target, especially when you sway back and forth with the same rhythm. You have to do it randomly. I often sidestep when I'm fighting other rails, and I don't go AD, 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 AD in the same time increment. Sometimes I'll mix it up and take 2 steps with the D sideways, and they try to get that rhythm, but there is no rhythm because I'm randomly sidestepping back and forth. And that's where a lot of people go wrong, where they're trying to sidestep, is they do it with a rhythm that is really easy to catch on to. So we're going to shoot this rail guns off and render him ineffective against my team. I missed the very last one, but his fire rate has been dramatically reduced. So we're going to look up over here again and shoot those lock-ons off. And as you can see, my team and I, with my support, have kind of pushed them all the way back to their base with all these aircraft, and they can't really come out now, because if they do, they're going to get pounded by rails and flak, and that Tesla build is actually doing a pretty good job. A lot of those Tesla bots aren't very good at it, but he does a pretty good job for most of this match, if not the whole match. So he's quite helpful. A lot of times those bots can be very helpful in defending towers, because the enemies are, they've got tunnel vision. They're looking up at those crystals and they don't know he's coming, and he's able to deal enough damage quickly enough to wreck most of them. So I'm going to step out of view of this guy with his rails. I think he's just got small rails, but they are still threatening, as you can see, because they can shoot my guns off. I'm not entirely sure that they were small rails. They were pinging like small ones, but they could have been the penetrators, which are mid-size and actually pack enough of a punch to be threatening even to the large mech legs that I have on here. So we're going to make sure that he's not there. He has moved, and we're going to go back to shooting these aircraft. Now they're really trapped in their base with no shield to hide behind. So they're in a really bad position right now. And as you can see, my team is nicely spread out. They're all moving in. They're setting up a crossfire, maybe inadvertently, but either way it's going to work, because the enemies are going to have a very hard time getting out of their base now. See how we're all around them? We're not all clustered together in a choke point trying to get in. So that works really well when you've got the enemy locked down into their bases, to not all be on the same side shooting at them. It's nice to be able to spread out and have bots that are capable of holding their own against a couple enemies at a time. Not necessarily 1v1 or 1v2, but 2v2, whatever it takes. You know, have an ally nearby, but all the bots have to be able to hold their own against the same number of enemy bots, no matter what they may be. I'm just going to hang out up here right now because they don't need me on the reactor. We're going to continue shooting these guys as they spawn. That way they can't get out, capture a tower, respawn their team, and get their shield back up, and take away our protonivity, because we really need that protonivity to finish their reactor quickly, which is exactly how that worked. So that is a good example of supporting your team with rails, not necessarily going for all the kills. And we did top damage and number 2 score without ever touching a tower. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.